My fiance called me at 3 a.m. from Vegas demanding $2,500 or the cops would arrest her. I told her to call her dad instead. Turns out that was the best decision of my life. I need some perspective here because half my family thinks I'm a hero and the other half thinks I'm the biggest asshole on earth. So I've been with my fiancée Qley for about 2.5 years, engaged for 9 months. She's a dental hygienist during the day, but spends her evenings trying to build this lifestyle influencer thing on Instagram and TikTok. The content is all about soft life, girl boss energy, and luxury on a budget, which should have been my first red flag because there was definitely luxury but zero budget. Here's some context you need. Qley has this friend group from college. 3 or 4 women who all married doctors, lawyers, tech guys, you know the type. They're all stay-at-home wives with unlimited budgets, and they're constantly posting from Michelin star restaurants, rooftop bars, weekend trips to ski resorts. They've always treated Qley like the charity case of the group because she actually has to work for a living and I'm just an engineer, structural engineer at a commercial construction firm for what it's worth. I make decent money, nothing crazy, but I'm practical about it. I'm saving for a house down payment. I budget. I track my spending. My parents taught me that credit card debt is the devil and you don't spend money you don't have. Qley's parents apparently taught her the opposite before they cut her off, which I'll get to. The first major fight we had about money was when she wanted to upgrade her engagement ring. We went to one of her friends' engagement parties at some poolside country club, and all her friends had these massive 2 or 3 carat rings from Tiffany or Harry Winston. Qley's ring is 1 carat from a local jeweler, beautiful stone, great setting, but no brand name. On the drive home, she told me it looked basic and wasn't Instagrammable enough. Yeah, that's the word she used, Instagrammable. She wanted me to trade it in for something bigger. I told her straight up, if you want a bigger ring because your friends have bigger rings and not because you actually want it for yourself, we've got a serious problem. She cried. I felt like shit, but I didn't budge on that one. The ring stayed. Then came the bachelorette party planning. This is where everything really started to unravel. Qley announced, not asked, announced that her bachelorette party had to be in Las Vegas. Her friends had already booked a 5-star hotel, VIP tables at clubs, show tickets, the works. The estimated cost was $3,500 per person, and she just assumed I would cover her portion plus her sister's, so about $7,000 total as an engagement gift. We're literally trying to save for a down payment on a house. We're planning a wedding that's going to cost us at least $30K. And she wants me to throw $7 grand at a weekend of bottle service and Instagram stories. I told her no. I said if she wanted to go to Vegas, she needed to pay for it herself or scale it down to something more reasonable. She called me cheap. She said I was unsupportive and didn't want her to have nice things. She compared me to her friends' husbands who would never make their wives feel bad about wanting to celebrate. I gave her an ultimatum: Vegas party on your own dime, or we need to seriously reconsider this engagement. She stormed out, stayed at a friend's place for 3 days, then came back and told me her dad had agreed to pay for the bachelorette party as a one-time gift. I had my doubts, but I figured if her dad was willing to cover it, that wasn't my problem to solve. I asked her to make sure it was really handled, and she showed me a text from her dad that said something like, "Don't worry about the money, enjoy your trip." So I let it go. Big mistake. The Vegas trip was last weekend, from Thursday to Sunday. Her Instagram stories were insane: first-class flights, a suite overlooking the Strip, champagne brunch, shopping at Caesars, pool parties, the whole influencer fantasy. Way more than what a dad covering a bachelorette party would normally look like. But again, not my circus. Saturday night, they went to some club with VIP bottle service. Her stories showed a table covered in Dom Perignon bottles, huge bottles of vodka, sparklers, dancers, the works. I'm sitting at home thinking her dad must be either incredibly generous or she's racking up credit card debt that's going to bite her in the ass. Then came the phone call. It was 3:12 a.m. I was dead asleep. My phone rang with Kayla's ringtone. I picked up and she was screaming, crying, club music blasting in the background so loud I could barely hear her. "Noah, you need to send me $2,500 right now. My card got declined and security has our IDs and they won't let us leave the club. They're threatening to call the cops. Please, I need the money now." I was still half asleep, but my brain was starting to put pieces together. I asked her, "How much is the total bill?" "It's like $9,000, but if we can pay $6,000 in cash tonight, they'll let us go. Everyone else is maxed out. You have to help me." And that's when it clicked. Her dad never paid for this trip. She'd been putting everything on credit cards and those buy now pay later apps, and now the whole house of cards had collapsed. I said to her, "Call your dad." She started crying harder. "I can't, my cards are maxed. The girls don't have cash. Dad is going to kill me. Please, I need you," I repeated. "Call your dad, I'm not your ATM." She started screaming at me, calling me every name in the book. I could hear her friends in the background yelling too. I said one more time, "You need to call your father. I'm going back to sleep." And then I hung up and put my phone on airplane mode. I went back to sleep. I slept great, actually. Update 1. So this blew up way more than I expected. Going to give you all the update you've been asking for, and holy shit, it's worse than I thought. First, to everyone calling me TA for abandoning my fiancé in crisis. Wait until you hear the rest. The next morning around 10 a.m., my phone had about 30 missed calls and twice as many text messages. Before I could even start going through them, I got a call from a number with a 702 area code. Las Vegas. It was a sergeant from Las Vegas Metro PD. He asked if I was Noah Clark and if I was engaged to Kayla Thompson. I confirmed, and he told me that Qley had been arrested around 4:30 a.m. for defrauding an innkeeper, basically skipping out on a bill, plus disorderly conduct charges. He said bail was set at $1,200, and the club was still pursuing payment for the remaining balance of about $8,000. He asked if I would be coming to Las Vegas to post bail or arrange payment. I told him very calmly that I was not in Las Vegas, had not authorized any charges, had no legal obligation to pay for someone else's club tab, and would not be posting bail. He seemed surprised. Apparently Kayla had told them I would take care of everything. But he took down my information, and that was that. Then came the shitstorm from her friends. Charlotte called me abusive for abandoning a woman in crisis. Becca sent me a long text about how I humiliated all of them by letting the police get involved, and how a real man would have protected his fiancée's reputation. Another friend, Madison, actually had the audacity to say I trapped Kayla in a dangerous situation with law enforcement by not sending money. I responded to the group chat they'd added me to. If you're actually her friends and this is such an emergency, why don't each of you chip in a couple $1,000s or call your husbands? Radio silence after that. Around 2 p.m., I got a call from Kayla's dad, Mr. Thompson. He was at the airport about to board a flight to Vegas. He was pissed, but weirdly, he was more pissed at Kayla than at me. He opened with, "My daughter is sitting in county lockup because her boyfriend wouldn't help her." I didn't let him finish. I told him the truth. "Sir, with all respect, Kayla told me you were paying for this trip. She said you agreed to cover the bachelorette party as a gift. I had no idea she was putting this all on credit until she called me at 3 a.m. demanding money like that's my duty." There was a long pause. Then he sighed, and I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. "Noah, I haven't given that girl a dime in 3 years. Her mother and I cut her off completely when she burned through her trust fund, about $80,000 in less than a year after graduating. Bottle service, designer handbags, trips with those vultures she calls friends. We told her she needed to learn to live within her means." He continued, "I'm flying out there now because I don't want her to have an arrest record, but I want you to know something. My daughter currently has approximately $70,000 in credit card debt and personal loans. The Vegas trip is probably going to add another $15,000 or $20,000 to that once all the charges come through. If you marry her, you're marrying that debt." And based on this weekend, you're marrying someone who has no intention of changing. I just sat there on my couch, phone to my ear, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. He finished with, I love my daughter, but she needs to hit rock bottom before she'll learn. I'm getting her out of jail because she's my kid, but I'm done enabling the lifestyle. You should think very carefully about whether you want to spend your life doing the same. We hung up and I just stared at the wall for like an hour. $70,000 in debt. $70,000. And she never told me. We were planning to get married in 6 months, to buy a house together, to build a life, and she was hiding a financial bomb that would have exploded the second we said, I do. The realization hit me like a freight train. If I had sent that money, I would have been reinforcing exactly the behavior her father was warning me about. I would have been the next enabler, the next ATM, the next person who rescues her from the consequences of her own choices. I spent the rest of the day ignoring calls and texts while I thought about what to do next. By evening, I knew what I had to do. Update 2. Okay, here's the update everyone's been waiting for. This is going to be long, so buckle up. Kayla called me from the airport Sunday evening after her dad bailout her out and got her on a flight home. She was crying, but it was different from the club crying. This was more calculated, if that makes sense. Like she'd had time to prepare her defense. She immediately tried to reframe the whole thing. It was just one crazy weekend. Everyone makes mistakes. The girls pressured me into ordering more bottles. You can't seriously be mad at me for having fun at my bachelorette party. Then she pivoted to making me the bad guy. You left me in jail, Noah. I was in an actual jail cell for 6 hours because you refused to help me. Do you know how traumatizing that was? I could have been hurt. I let her talk herself out. Then I said, Kayla, this isn't about one night. This is about a pattern. You lied about your dad paying for the trip. You've been hiding $70,000 in debt from me. You spend money we don't have to impress people who don't actually care about you. You compared our engagement ring to your friends' rings. You expected me to drop $7,000 on a party I wasn't even invited to. And when your house of cards collapsed, your first instinct was to make it my problem to fix. She tried to interrupt, but I kept going. I'm not mad that you went to Vegas. I'm not even mad that you got arrested, honestly. I'm mad that you've been lying to me about who you are and what you want. You don't want to build a life with me. You want me to fund a lifestyle for you. She went quiet for a second, then exploded. So what, you're breaking up with me? Over money? That's so freaking shallow. I said, no, I'm breaking off our engagement over dishonesty, over incompatibility, over the fact that you see me as a wallet and not a partner. The money is just the symptom. She called me cold, calculating, heartless, said I never really loved her, said I was just like her parents, controlling and judgmental. Then she hung up on me. I thought that was it, but about an hour later her car pulled up outside my place. She had a suitcase and she was wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. She'd clearly come straight from the airport to her place, grabbed some stuff and driven to mine. She stood on my doorstep with mascara all down her face, looking genuinely destroyed. She said she'd do anything. She'd cut up her credit cards. She'd go to financial counseling. She'd pick up extra shifts. She'd delete Instagram. Just please don't throw away what we had over one mistake. I had already packed a box of her stuff, photos, clothes she'd left at my place, gifts, the stuff from my nightstand drawer. I brought it to the door along with the ring box. I said, Kayla, I don't want to build a life on a foundation of lies and debt. This isn't about one mistake. This is about the person you've been choosing to become. You care more about what your friends think than about our future together. You hid massive debt from me. You expected me to bail you out of a situation you created. That's not a partnership. She took the box and the ring and just stared at me. Then she said, You're just like everyone else. You only cared about me when I was convenient. The second I needed real help, you bailout. I said, I'm protecting myself from someone who sees me as a resource instead of a person. That's not bailing, that's self-preservation. She called me a few more names, told me I'd regret this, then got in her car and left. Her mom called the next day and absolutely tore into me. Called me heartless, said I'd abandoned her daughter in her lowest moment, said a real man would have helped. I let her vent, then told her she should ask her husband about the $70,000 in debt Qley had been hiding. She hung up without responding. Qley's dad, on the other hand, called me a few days later to apologize for his wife's call. He said he understood my decision and actually respected it. He told me he hoped Qley would learn from this, but he wasn't holding his breath. He said, "You would have made a good son-in-law, but not for the daughter I currently have. Maybe someday for the daughter she could become." That actually kind of gutted me, because I did love her, but I loved the person I thought she was, not the person she's been pretending not to be. My family has been incredible. My dad told me I dodged a financial bullet that would have destroyed my life. My mom made me dinner and just let me talk. It actually helped me feel a lot better just spending time with the people who actually care about me. Final update. Okay, Reddit, buckle up because this final update is wild. I know I said I was done, but something happened this week that I need to share because holy shit. So about 10 days ago, a coworker who follows Qley on Instagram sent me a screenshot. Qley had posted this long, emotional carousel about surviving financial abuse and escaping a controlling relationship. The post had thousands of likes and hundreds of comments calling me everything from a narcissist to an abuser. The narrative she laid out was insane. According to her version, I monitored all her spending and made her ask permission to buy things. I isolated her from her support system, her rich friends. When she had an emergency in Vegas, I abandoned her and let her get arrested. I was jealous of her success as an influencer and sabotaged her opportunities. Not a single word about the $70,000 in debt she hid from me. Not one mention of lying about her dad paying for Vegas. Nothing about calling me at 3 a.m. demanding $2,500 for bottle service she couldn't afford. Just me, painted as this financial abuser who abandoned my fiancée in crisis. The post was going viral in breakup recovery communities. People were calling me a walking red flag and telling Qley how brave she was for leaving me. Some were even saying I should be reported for financial abuse. I started getting messages from old college friends asking if I was okay, if the accusations were true, if I needed help. One of my coworkers saw it and pulled me aside to ask if there was anything going on at home I needed to talk about. That's when I snapped. I sat down Tuesday night and I wrote out the whole story, every detail. Screenshots of texts where she asked me to pay for the Vegas trip and I refused. Screenshot of her dad's text where he confirmed he never agreed to pay for the trip. Bank statements showing I'd never had access to her accounts, disproving the controlling her money narrative. The police report from Vegas, which is public record, showing she was arrested for defrauding an innkeeper and disorderly conduct. Even a screenshot of her Instagram stories from Vegas showing the bottle service and luxury suite that she later claimed was a modest girl's trip. I posted it in the comments of her viral post. A detailed, factual receipts included response that laid out exactly what happened. I wrote, "Since this post about me is going viral, here's the full story with actual documentation. I'm not going to be the villain in your narrative, Qley." Then I posted it and logged off. The response was immediate and nuclear. Within an hour, people in the comments started turning. "Wait, she was arrested. He has literal receipts. This changes everything." My comment got more likes than her original post. People started asking her pointed questions. The breakup recovery accounts that had reposted her story started deleting them. But here's where it gets really interesting. Her rich wife, friends saw my comment, and apparently their husbands saw it too. Charlotte's husband, the one who's a partner at a law firm, saw the police report showing his wife was at that same table when the arrest happened. He apparently had no idea his wife had been involved in a situation that resulted in police intervention. He was not happy when he found out Charlotte had lied about the severity of what happened. Becca's husband works in finance, and his firm has strict ethics policies. When he realized his wife had been part of a defrauding an innkeeper incident, he freaked out about potential compliance issues. Apparently he's up for a promotion, and something like this could have tanked it if it came out the wrong way. Madison's husband found out she'd spent $3,000 plus on bottle service in one night without telling him. They'd apparently agreed on a budget for the trip, and she blew past it by thousands. So within 48 hours of my comment going up, Kayla's entire friend group imploded. The husbands were pissed at their wives for lying about what happened in Vegas. The wives were pissed at Qley for her social media posts bringing renewed attention to something they'd hoped would just fade away. And everyone was pissed at each other for the whole mess. Charlotte blocked Qley on everything. Becca posted a story saying she was removing toxic people and drama from her life. Madison's husband apparently made her cut contact with anyone involved in the Vegas situation. Kayla's support system of enablers, gone in 48 hours. But wait, there's more. Her employer, she'd gotten a new job at a dental office after getting fired from the first one, saw the viral posts. They called her in and asked her about it. Apparently she'd lied on her background check about having any arrests or legal issues in the past year. They fired her on the spot. So now Kayla's Instagram stories have gone from surviving abuse to frantic posts about cancel culture and people weaponizing the truth. She's lost her job, lost her friends, and lost her narrative all in the span of a week. Her mom called me yesterday screaming that I destroyed her daughter's life and that I should have just let it go. I told her very calmly that I let it go until Qley tried to destroy my reputation with lies. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Her dad called me this morning. He said, "I'm not saying you were wrong. She needed to face consequences. But Jesus Christ, Noah, you didn't just burn the bridge, you napalmed it." Then he sighed and said, "Maybe that's what she needed though, nothing else has worked." As for my life, it's been a weird week, but honestly I feel lighter than I have in months. I close on the townhouse this Friday. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, small garage, tiny backyard in a suburb about 20 minutes from work. I've already bought a grill. My brother's helping me move this weekend, and my dad is insisting on helping me set up the garage workshop. My budget spreadsheet looks better than it ever has. I maxed out my IRA contributions for the first time this year. I've got an emergency fund that's actually, funded. I'm not stressed every time I check my credit card statement wondering what surprise charges are going to show up. The mutual friends who have reached out asking what really happened, I sent them the link to my comment on Kayla's post. Most of them responded with some version of "holy shit," and you dodged a bullet. A few people apologized for believing her initial story without question. Her dad called again this afternoon. He said Kayla's living at home, working part-time at a spa, going to financial counseling 3 times a week. She's on a strict budget, parents control the money, she gets an allowance, all cards canceled. He said she's furious at me, but he thinks this is the first time in her life she's actually facing real consequences. "Maybe you did her a favor," he said. "A really, really brutal favor." Her mom, on the other hand, is apparently planning to sue me for defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. My lawyer friend laughed when I told him, "Everything you posted was true and documented. She's got nothing. Let her waste money on a lawyer." So that's where we are. 3 months ago, I thought refusing to send $2,500 at 3 a.m. made me heartless. Now I understand it made me unavailable to be used. And that's apparently the worst thing you can be to someone like Qley. The 3 a.m. call from Vegas was a test I didn't know I was taking. The Instagram exposure was a test I chose to take. Both times I chose myself over someone else's crisis. Both times it was the right call. Thanks for sticking with this story, Reddit. I'm finally, truly done with it.